Welcome to For the Birds with Richard Cole. Richard couldn't make it today, but you will hear from him. We have a video today to show you, and we've got a great show. We're going to tell you about some of the resources that Coles has just for you, because Coles is a company that really genuinely cares about birds. It was started out of a love for birds and feeding the birds. And Coles goes above and beyond, not just making food and putting it out there, but we have so many resources available to those of you who really love to feed the birds. And we're going to tell you all about those and let you know how you can get involved with that. So that's going to be fun. We'll also let you know how you can get a Coles calendar. That makes a great gift idea. And then we have some other holiday gift ideas for birders that include all kinds of seeds and feeders. And Richard Cole is going to tell you about some of the ideas that are great for birders, things that you can get them for the holidays. We're also going to take a look at what types of food are best. The fall slowdown has certainly happened already, when you may have noticed that you didn't have as many birds at your feeders because the birds had lots of spiders and insects to eat. But already many of those kind of creatures have died off, and the birds will need some high energy nutrient-packed foods for the winter. So we will talk about those as well. So one of the first things we want to tell you about is a new community Facebook page that we started. It's a group called The Lazy Birder. And it's called The Lazy Birder because it's really not for bird watchers who are taking this very seriously and writing down every bird that they see and tracking birds and that sort of thing, but really for those of us who just love to fill our feeders, watch the birds come and eat, and just relax and enjoy the wild birds. So this is a place, it is called The Lazy Birder. It's a page off from the Coles main Facebook page. It's a community group. And what you'll love about groups is that you can post your own things. You don't have to worry about waiting for Coles to post something. So in this case, you have somebody posting about a new webcam that he bought, and you can see great picture of the cardinal, just a close-up picture of the cardinal enjoying some food. So these are things that you can kind of make it your own. You can ask questions, and people in the community will help you. Richard Cole may be able to answer, but certainly other birders can tell you, and you can post about your experiences. Just type like birds that are coming to your feeders. You can post pictures. So we really want to encourage everybody to come to our Facebook group, The Lazy Birder, join and start posting. It can be a really fun group, and we really are excited about it. We're excited about people are already posting in it, and so we would just want to get more fans, but people are putting pictures of the birds that come to their yard, as well as their feeders and that sort of thing. So please come and join The Lazy Birder. So those are a few of the pictures. Just, that is gorgeous. And then, of course, there's our Coles Facebook page that we've had, a company page we've had for quite some time. And here, that's when we keep you posted about Facebook Live and the things that we're doing. And of course, you can always comment and put pictures of the birds that you have in your yard. Post your pictures in the comment or ask a question, and certainly everybody will help you out on that. But the group is just great because you can post, and it's a place for you, and it's all about building a community of like-minded people who absolutely love to feed the birds. So that's what we're doing on Facebook. We've also done so much on YouTube. If there are questions that you have, this is our channel on YouTube. It's just Coles Wild Bird Products on YouTube. And we have so many videos. I think we have like 700 videos and about 1,000 subscribers. 2.18K subscribers. So Anyway, we want you to come, subscribe, watch the videos. If you put in anything about you want help with identifying a bird or what a bird might like to eat, Richard has probably done a video about it. So there's tons of resources there. And that's not all. So on the coleswildbird.com on the webpage, also a ton of resources. What do birds like to eat? You can click over and see the chart. It'll tell you everything that different birds like to eat, what's going on in the news with birds. You can meet the Coles family, and you'll always stay updated with our Coles calendar contest here. But just look at FAQs, the blog. There are so many articles and everything that have been done about birds. So any questions that you have, you certainly can come here. You can also check out all the feeders and seed that we have. You can find out where to buy Coles as far as a store locator. And so tons of resources that Coles has created to really help enhance your experience as being a birder. So those are all of that. We also want to show you our calendar one more time because you'll want to include this on your holiday list of things that you'll want to get. This beautiful Coles calendar, and Becky Kemp's picture is on the cover. It is beautiful. And we had so many entries this year. The calendar is just gorgeous. And be thinking about this as a great time for you to start taking those fall and winter pictures. Those are the two seasons that we get the least pictures in from those two seasons, and even more winter. So please have your cameras ready and be thinking about the next photo contest when you're taking pictures of the birds, and winter's a great time to get out and you can get some stunning pictures of birds in the snow or just in the winter, and we really want to encourage you to do that. But we also want to tell you how you can get your free Coles calendar. Let's go ahead and finish and show everyone. So this is November. We've just started that. And then beautiful winter photograph here. And of course, another beautiful winter photograph. All you have to do to get a Coles calendar is go to colesonestopshop.com. This is a place, an online retailer where you can pick up any of our seed or any of the feeders that you want, all of those feeders that you can get. Also, every type of seed that you want. And getting back to talking about what to feed the birds during the winter, these are great. All of the suet blends are really going to be packed with nutrients, high in fat, so those are great. You can get the Flaming Squirrel seed sauce to mix in with different foods. Not with these, but the hot meats does have that in it. But if you want to keep the squirrels away during the winter. And then the suet kibbles. And you don't have to worry about these melting out in the sun when it's so cold like this. So come to colesonestopshop.com. Order something. If it's your first order, you will get a calendar free. So that is a great deal and a good reason to go to it. Now we want Richard Cole to tell you a little bit. First we want to tell you a little bit about our holiday gifts. So just buy some food and a feeder, put those together. Beautiful red ribbon, maybe a little fancy box, and you've got such a great gift for the birders in your life and maybe for yourself. So here's Richard.
Well, Coles has some great products that do, in fact, make great gifts. Here's a feeder.
This is beautiful. I love this
It's not a standard tube-type feeder.
Yeah.
It's much easier to use in a way, and much easier to keep clean. And birds love it. You just throw things into the bowl. Mm-hmm. It's called the Bountiful Bowl. And the birds just sit up here and eat. Yeah. And you can see the birds very well on here also.
Wait, before you take that away, show the real beauty of this and how you can decide who gets to eat.
Is movable, the little rain guard and cover. Uh-huh. If you really start having problems with the grackles come in and larger birds, you want to slow them down, just drop this way down like this, The birds will, small birds will hop right up here and eat. The big birds will have a lot more trouble. You can even come down here, and the small chickadees and things can get up in there and get their food. The big birds will have a real hard time getting to the food.
Yeah.
It helps deter the large birds.
Right.
And I love these things.
That's a great thing about that.
It's one of the feeders in my repertoire that I keep. I wouldn't be without one.
Just easy to use, clean, hang. Yeah.
Yes, and there's some neat things you can put in it. Not regular bird seed, but bird food, suet kibbles from Kohl's.
Yeah.
And it's a combination. You see, it's pelletized. It's like a pelletized suet. And these particular ones have berry parts in the pink ones, and they have mealworms, dried mealworms, piece of insect parts into the cream-colored ones. You just put it in a bowl, or put it on your deck railing. But it works very well in a bowl. And another feeder I'll show you in just a moment. Here's the dried mealworms, the type of thing that's also in one of the kibbles. Solid protein.
Right.
No muss, no fuss. They're not live. They're dried out. They smell really nice, like a nut flavor. They taste pretty good, too.
But don't eat them.
These are not for human consumption.
No.
But actually, these dried mealworms are used culinarily on foods. They sprinkle them on there for a little accent. Not bad.
And the bluebirds love them. And you can mix the suet kibbles and the dried mealworms if you really want to get them, right? And you might put them in a feeder like that Bountiful.
Absolutely. Some people's favorite way to do it is to mix the two. A little of each. You can put those into the Bountiful bowl, or you can get one of these. Another great gift, by the way, because it's not a standard tube feeder.
Yeah.
It's a feeder that you can put the suet kibbles and the mealworms in, or just either one, or both mixed. And the birds can hang and cling all over here because it's a wire mesh. You don't have to go to a particular port.
So you might have woodpeckers right alongside, just like
so many different birds. You'll see, and because it's food that's not a hard seed, you'll get a lot of, in the summertime and all, when the warblers spring, the warblers and all will be on here. And in the wintertime, everybody else that's still here gets on here. And this one has the easy clean bottom.
Yeah.
And you can just look right through it's easy to clean, just hose it out.
Yeah. You said it's easier to clean even than a tube feeder.
It's easier than a tube feeder. Makes a great gift because it's different.
And the bottom just comes right off, too. I know you were going to demonstrate it on the other. Yeah, it comes straight off.
It just makes it so easy to clean these things.
Yeah.
And put back on. That's a pretty neat feature.
That is a neat feature.
And let's see, the seed feeder. There we go.
I know you got your hands full today.
I do have my hands full. There we go.
There you go. It just pops in.
And this is one of the Kohl's tube feeders. And it's a standard tube feeder. There again, the easy clean bottom.
Right.
And I'll show this. Comes with a nice chart about which birds eat which seed, and some
very helpful. Yeah.
Little plastic perch guards. If you want your birds to have a nice, soft, cushiony thing to hold on to, or if you're worried about it being cold, you put these on there. It comes with it.
Perfect.
And it's hard to beat a plain tube feeder. You put most kinds of seed in there. Makes a great gift. It looks nice. Put a bow on it. It's ready to go.
Right.
And I don't know if anybody wouldn't like to have one of these.
Oh, absolutely.
It's the basic.
And then I think it's such a nice touch to go ahead and get some seed or something, a product to go ahead and put in it. So when you present the feeder, they already have something.
It makes a great gift combination. In the seed, Kohl's seed products, that, and of course the Bountiful bowl.
Right.
You could get one of each. It can be better. And some seed, and that makes a very unique, nice gift, and somebody's going to really enjoy getting that.
Yeah. And so, last but not least, the suet cake feeder.
Yeah, here I'll show a suet cake. This is one of the Kohl's suet cakes, and you see them in the grocery stores and everywhere, and of course the finer merchants, you'll see the Kohl's brand. And here is a feeder. A particular feeder that they fit in. You'll see all versions of this, some of them just a wire cage. This is called a woodpecker tail prop. And the reason it's called that is because it has this extension down here. So when the woodpecker comes up and lands, they have very short legs and a stiff tail for hanging on the side of trees, holding themselves up. So if there's nothing down here, they tend to hang upside down because they're used to holding themselves up with tail. But with this, the woodpecker tail prop, they can sit here very comfortably and eat. So it's a good suet feeder, and it's designed to really help the woodpeckers hang on.
I have noticed that the suet feeders really attract the woodpeckers, but I never knew that was why.
That's one of the reasons. If you have this, they can just manipulate it much better. Another great gift idea is a package like this. Mm-hmm. One of everything would even be better.
I don't think people had thought about this very much in the past, but I think it's becoming more and more popular. In fact, birding is the second largest growing hobby in the United States. Did you know that?
Soon to be number one, if I can do anything about it.
It was just behind gardening, which is huge.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to.
Huge, yeah,
it's going to be hard to beat that. So many great gift ideas. It's just a matter of going out to get them. In this next video, Richard tells you about some of the great what types of food that you can feed the birds during the winter.
As winter comes, and it'll be here really soon, just make sure you don't have to really change the feeds you're using, but be aware that they can use more fatty nutrition foods. Suet. I like to make sure I put extra suet out in the wintertime because that's a very good higher energy treat for the birds. Sunflower meats is a great food. It's a fat-rich food and therefore higher energy for the birds. They love that. Sunflower seed in the shell is okay, but my favorite are sun meats and suet.
Yeah.
And I use the hot meats, of course. And they like those. It's good high energy for them in the wintertime. And other than that, you don't have to shift a lot of what you're feeding. Yeah. But as long as you have that and substitute with a lot of good suet.
Yeah. So great advice. And also, keep that food out for the hummers, right?
Absolutely.
You keep it out all winter long, don't you?
Absolutely. We fought a lot of, in the earlier days of finding out that there's a lot of birds here in the wintertime, we fought a lot of myths and legends about the birds aren't here in the wintertime, or if you put your feeder out, if it's there, they'll stay here and they'll die in the wintertime. They won't migrate. All that's just not right. And they will migrate because that's what they do. And they have to have food on the way.
Richard always has such great advice, and I love to listen to him because you can always see his passion about feeding birds. And he knows a lot about them. For instance, you may have wondered, how do birds stay warm in the winter? It seems like with their tiny little bodies that it would be so hard to stay warm. Well, Richard answers that question in this video. So we're having a tough time trying to keep warm. So certainly the birds are having a tough time trying to keep warm. What can we do to help them during this tough time?
I think one of the most important things is to give them food on a consistent basis. I was talking about New Year's resolutions a little bit earlier. So one of mine is to make sure I clean the feeders every now and then. But secondly, make sure I have food out there. I'm usually pretty good about this. But if you don't fill them up all the time, fill it up at the same time. Put a little bit out each day. At the same time, they'll get used to the schedule, and they'll show up. They'll find that dependable source of food. And the food is what maintains their heat, and is obviously very important at this time of year, more so than in the summertime, because it's warmer in the summertime, and also they have more food available in the summertime. So just keep food available for them. If you have places for cover, bushes, stuff, and the feeder's not too far from that, they'll hop over in there, and that helps them stay warm. But also provide water as best you can. There's things called bird bath heaters, which keeps a little pool of water thawed in when it's really cold. But make sure there's water out there. They need that to drink. They also need it for bathing, believe it or not, and it's very cold. Bathing's very important to birds. They don't get too wet and die of hypothermia. It helps keep their feathers clean and very fluffed out, which helps keep them very warm.
Okay, so you talked earlier, before we started broadcasting, you mentioned, I've always wondered, how do the birds stay warm during these very, very cold times when we can't stand to be outside? I mean, what do they do in their little feet? I worry about their feet.
Well, they're built differently than we are. Many animals are built differently than we are. We tend to think of things in terms of humans, what affects us. We had mentioned earlier, talking about sticking your tongue on a flagpole in the wintertime, and it sticks. or stick in your hands and may get stuck to some cold piece of metal because your hand's slightly moist. Birds don't have that problem. Their hands aren't moist. They can sit on cold metal, grab it. They will not stick to it because there's no moisture to stick. Their hands are just almost like callus. It's just dry skin all the way up to, notice their legs aren't fat until you get up to where the feathers are. Then you have a larger part that's more muscular. The rest of it's more tendons just to operate the hands. So they don't get cold like we do. And also the down they have under their main feathers is very, very good insulator. And they have the feathers, which are hollow in the core, and the down underneath, almost like a great jacket to have on year round. And their metabolism is different than ours. They can generate more heat.
What about having the bird houses? I mean, you had mentioned, I know before, will they go there when it gets this cold? Will they go ahead and go into the bird houses?
Some birds will. You know, I talk all the time about birds don't live in birdhouses. They only go there to raise their young. In cold days, some birds will. We've noticed bluebirds especially, or some of the ones, sometimes chickadees, nuthatches, titmice, typical cavity nesting birds will go into a birdhouse to stay warm on really cold nights. You'll see them, in some cases, bluebirds have been seen 10 or 15 birds pile in on top of each other in one box to stay warm. That's pretty unusual, but in your backyard, you may have a couple of bluebirds in there at night.
Have you seen them?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. I didn't get 15 or anything like that, but I did have 3.
Yeah. Well, that's exciting to see them, I think, trying to bundle it. When you see the birds all, like, when you see them on a wire and they're all close together, are they trying to keep warm?
I don't know. They
you didn't
may
ask
be.
Them.
No, I didn't ask them. They may be doing that. You see them, especially, they do tend to puff up. There's that insulating quality to their feathers. It gets the down spread out. It gets the over feathers over top of that. Helps cut down the wind, maintains their body heat. And I'm sure when they're going to the birdhouses, they're on top of each other. They're very close. They're probably huddling together to maintain the heat.
Richard just has so much knowledge about the birds. And I'm wondering, all of us who feed hummingbirds, you probably noticed that you have dramatically fewer hummingbirds at your feeder, no matter where you live. But Richard Cole has some insights about whether or not you should leave your feeders out and if any hummingbirds stick around through the winter. Thanks to observations and research in the 1990s, we know a lot more about them in the winter, right? And tell us about this special bird in Roswell, Georgia on the Christmas Eve.
Yeah, when I was really getting the hummingbirds, I think more years I like to talk about, but we had at a retail store, put a hummingbird feeder out the back. In the wintertime, because we've been hearing reports of mostly rufuses, and there had been 1 or 2 already been caught and banded in the Georgia area. In the wintertime, it's like, there's some hummingbirds here. We only knew of the one, the rufus hummingbird, and had been trapped and banded and positively identified. So I said, put the feeder out. Let's see what happens. And it was Christmas Eve. We were closing the store. And sure enough, there was a hummingbird on the feeder out back. And it's like, uh-oh. What? And I got all excited.
Heck yeah.
And went out and looked with the binoculars and tried to see what the heck this bird is. And it was looked kind of like a ruby throat.
Wow.
So wasn't sure. So the next day, Christmas morning, what does everybody do? You get up, you go somewhere to watch a hummingbird.
Yeah, that's what everyone does on Christmas, right?
So I took the camera, we took a little blind, and the wife and I went out and set up camp in the back alley of a shopping strip and watched this hummingbird started taking photographs of it. My daughter had called the house looking for us, and we didn't answer. She got worried about it.
Oh, you, Richard.
She decided to drive over to the store and see if we perhaps were there, laying on the floor or whatever. And she got there, drove around back, and as soon as she came around the corner, she saw us down there with a blind and cameras and stuff, and she just watched a few minutes and left. We never saw her.
Wow.
She told us about that later, so she realized what was going on, that we were observing a bird. So we spent the day getting a lot of good pictures, and we spent some time after that looking at the photographs and trying to figure out what that bird was, and I decided it was, of all things, a black-chin hummingbird, which should not be here.
Really?
It was an immature male black-chin hummingbird. So that got a lot of things stirred up. Like, this is not just a rufus that there'd been a few of. This was something entirely different. So it did cause a stir. A lot of people came out to see it. Of course, it was captured and banded by Bob Sargent out of Alabama, who was master bander, had a permit for the federal government to do this. And so Bob and I became friends after that. But that got me started really into the hummingbirds in the wintertime and what's going on with them. And many years of study after that.
And definitely leave your feeders out all winter, right?
Absolutely. And the old thing about leave the feeders, they'll stay there and freeze to death when the winter comes, it doesn't work that way. They know when to move. The other side of that is some of them have just migrated and got to here. This is where they were going. And it could be even New Jersey. We've had reports of them wintering up in New Jersey.
Wow.
A lot of them might not make it, but this is where they were programmed to go to, and whether it be South Alabama, mid-Georgia, or Tennessee. So put the feeder out in the wintertime and see if you see a bird. If you do, report it to your local wild bird store or the Audubon Society, because somebody might want to come out and do some research, capture the bird, tag it with a little band so they can see if it comes back every year. A lot of things have been learned since the tagging program has begun 20 years ago or more now.
Wow. And I'm sure a lot of it's been from you. I'd love to know if you see hummingbirds in the winter. So just make a comment, let us know where you live and if you do indeed see hummingbirds and if you leave food out for them during the winter. So just to go over a few things that we've talked about today in summary, we want you to join our Coles Facebook group page called The Lazy Birder. This is your chance to be part of just a birding community that just enjoys feeding the birds, and you can post your own posts. You don't have to just put your pictures in comments. You can post anytime you want to in the Lazy Birder, and just encourage your friends to join. We really want to build a community of people who love to feed the birds. And then, of course, there's our Coles Facebook page where you can always put your pictures in the comments, and we love to see those, and we love to hear about your experiences. We have a YouTube channel with literally more than 700 videos to answer all of your questions. Richard Cole is such an expert and can help you with that. Coles One Stop Shop is an online retailer where you can go and shop if you'd rather just buy your products online. Of course, you can go to the Coles Wild Bird Products website and find a store. But if you want to buy online, you can buy here. And if you, on your very first purchase, you will get a free Coles calendar. So that's a really big bonus. And here on our coleswildbird.com website, you'll find all kinds of resources to help you enjoy the birds more. And you can find out about our calendar contest. So we have frequently asked questions as well as a blog. So we really want you to engage with us. Coles has invested in these resources because they want you to love feeding the birds as much as they do. And we are going to leave you with our video that shows all the semifinalists who made it into our semifinals for our Coles 2025 calendar contest. We hope you have a great day. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, this is Richard Cole. I want to thank each of you for watching, and I want you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to share it.